to Orange Farm, then south of Johannesburg, where this morning we're following what has been a wave of gang-related violence, which is taking a heavy toll on pupils as well as the wider community, even some not actually going to school by the looks of things. Recent stabbings at local schools raising urgent concerns about these students' safety as well as mental health. At least 2 deaths have been linked to the violence, possibly more, according to some newspaper reports. In response, the Gauteng provincial government condemning the violence. My colleague Eldrin Sampier joining us live from there. Eldrin, you've been speaking, of course, to community members as well then, and just the harrowing events of the last few days, keeping a lot of people in the community in fear.
Yeah, it's an ongoing story here in this community. You just heard the conversation that we just had with the councillors as well. The fear that is gripping this community, and again emphasizing this part about this particular community being labelled the murder capital of the province. 69 murders that took place in the third quarter of the crime stats that were released last month. So what this tells us is that here you have a community that is struggling when it comes to criminality, and this criminality has now also affected children, and children themselves now being involved and being in conflict with the law. Currently we're standing right on the premises of Thetha Secondary School, one of the schools that has been affected by the ongoing violence. We heard earlier on one of the councillors telling us about the incident that took place where a pupil was allegedly stabbed inside the school, inside the staff premises. According to the Sowetan article that we were referring to a bit earlier on as well, we understand that the gang members were able to jump over the fence, but right now I'm joined by the SGB chairperson, Mandla Nemabulane, who's joining us here to have this conversation about the gang-related violence that has been happening in this industry, in this particular school. This morning. Speak to us about violence in this area. What has been happening in this area that has now also affected this school?
Okay, for this opportunity that you have given us as a school. Personally, I'm the chairperson of the school here. And then before mhlambe ngaqala ngikhulume nge-affection eyenzeka through gangsterism esikolweni la, ngithanda ukusho ukuthi there are also other good things that have happened here in this school. Firstly, in the past year, isikolo sethu sithathe number 3, and then we have about 6 to 7 trophies that we have received, and then we are also one of the best school for abantwana ukuthi bangeza la esikolweni ne. Manje is a pity ukuthi this incident has happened, and it's not only into this school that this thing has happened. It's happening in all the schools. Like yesterday, there's one of the schools just nearby where children have stabbed each other. And what is happening is that these children, they are gangsters from outside, but they still also have like members in the schools. Now, whenever this outbreak happens, and then it also affects all other schools. Yeah.
Yesterday, my colleague Ziniko Mhlaba was speaking to the education department, and they were saying that because of this violence, there's fear even amongst parents releasing their children to come to school, and even children coming to school, and that has affected the presence of children in schools, and the absenteeism rate has now gone up.
Yes, it is true. Actually, what happened, whenever this outbreak happened, actually it's not the first thing that has happened. It also happened, I think it was last month, in one of the school just down the street again there. And then it's true that abazali about this thing, and then we start mobilizing ourselves as the communities to say that, number one, abantwana bethu ngeke bahlale bangeza esikoleni because of this gangsterism, and then 2, we have to mobilize ourselves to say that whenever these gangsterisms they come to the school, and then sonke sibe prepared ukuthi one clearly kahle ukuthi we have to stop this thing, but 2 is that also we won't allow this thing happen to our community around here, because it brings fear to abantwana, including nabazali, because as the councillors have said to you, bakhonile ukuthi labantwana bahambe baze bayogcekeza nenye indlu bashaye umuntu laphayana. I believe ukuthi that person died. Manje, we don't want that to happen. That is why as a community we are mobilizing ourselves and we are watching around our community to say that this thing doesn't happen again.
Yeah. What's your assurance now to these children? I don't know if, let me just quickly see if we can give a shot of some of the children that are making their way into the school. As we've been saying to you, Arabile, that round about this time, this is when we expect the children to be making their way. The matriculants were expected to arrive a bit early on. Maybe some of them, the children that have walked in, are coming in for lower grades. But what assurance, Mandla, as the SGB chairperson, are you giving these children about their safety today?
Okay. Number one, maybe let me say I want to give thanks to first our district D11, that the district director and then the circuit manager and also the IDSO, including the principal, the community at large. Actually, Bonkabo Baba of the community have mobilized themselves. I think you will see them not long from now because we had a couple of meetings. I think we're almost like 2,000 Abo Baba without including like the women which are coming here. We also have like the CPFs. I think you see some of them here. And I know that also the principal, including with the circuit, they've organized the armed security for them to be here so that they can guard the school or throughout, so that we don't experience the same thing that you are experiencing again.
Mandla Nemabulane, thank you so much for making time for us. Truly appreciate it. The SGB chairperson here of Thetha Secondary School. Just quickly want to see if we can pan just right there behind our camera person as the school pupils are making their way here into the school. You may have heard Mandla there speaking about the community safety people that are coming here, as well as the CPF to come and assist. There they are right behind my camera person, whereas the children are making their way in. And as the children make their way in, as you can see that their bags are currently being searched by some of the public safety officials that are here at the school. Not too sure how long this is going to be lasting for and how sustainable something like this is. A bit later on, we will be in conversation with Dr. Mandla Masuku, Dr. Bandile Masuku rather, who is the chairperson for public safety, for community safety in Gauteng. He'll be joining us at around 7:30 to speak about incidents of this nature and how do you ensure you create a peaceful environment that is conducive for teaching and learning. It's back to you in studio, Arabil.
Yeah, so it's the big question mark, and it's actually one of the key elements of our poll, actually, then, Eldrin, when we talk about greater policing or perhaps police presence. Because in our poll this morning, we're asking what measures you think would best address teenage gang violence in our community. Should we do what you're seeing there, which is a boosting of police presence or law enforcement, more searches ultimately in schools and the like to avoid the violence happening, particularly in schools?